If you guys want to get a shout out on the next video, probably going out tomorrow, well, you're going to need to follow me on Twitter right now. At AR Barefoot, I'm going to be picking from a handful of random new followers that will get a chance to have a shout out on tomorrow's video. I post a bunch of Warriors highlights, NBA news, and a lot of NBA memes. So I highly suggest following my content for free on Twitter as well at AR Barefoot. Welcome into Warriors Today by Chat Sports. You got Allie Barefoot here, and I'm going to give a disclosure for this upcoming video. Why? Because I'm going to talk about the topic that nobody really wants to talk about. In full disclosure, there have been no reports that Steph Curry is asking for a trade or wants to leave the Bay Area. But with all of the recent comments from Joe Lacob, Mike Dunleavy, talking about how big changes could be coming in the offseason, I want to just look at what the Warriors would look like without Steph Curry. A possible trade, if you will, because after an unsuccessful NBA regular season, I think that it's fair to look at the Warriors and Steph Curry and see if his future really does fit with the Bay Area. The main question here, is it time to blow it up? We're already discussing whether or not Klay Thompson should come back or not come back. A lot of comments down below on my YouTube videos have been saying it's time to step away from Draymond Green. And I understand that Steph Curry is not Draymond Green nor Klay Thompson. He's a little bit different and a little bit more special to the organization than any other player I've at least seen in the last decade. So I think it may be time to have a conversation about, would Steph Curry ever want to go to another team, and what could they possibly get for him? There are three main topics here that I want to discuss about what a Steph Curry trade would look like for the Golden State Warriors organization. Number one would be breaking up the big three. I think if you were to let go of Steph Curry, you got to let go of Draymond Green and possibly Klay Thompson as well. Klay Thompson is currently a free agent, so he's technically not with the Warriors right now. But would Draymond Green want to stay there either? Because I do personally think the big three was really exposed in the last game that the Warriors played, which was a loss against the Sacramento Kings. I think that Klay going 0 for 10, Draymond only having about 3 big boards there, not to mention getting dunked on by De'Aaron Fox. I think that they were really showing their age there and what was once an incredible dynasty. I saw a meme on Twitter about how this old woman was like, Klay Thompson used to be great in elimination games. And her granddaughter was like, yeah, okay, stop dreaming, Grandma. But that's true. Klay used to be Mr. Clutch when it came to elimination games. We always know that Steph Curry is as well. But when they played the Kings, I'm like, this is not the dynasty we've been watching over the last decade. And I do think it's unfortunate, but it is a fair question to really discuss whether or not Steph Curry needs to stay as well. I was listening to Steiny on 95.7 The Game yesterday, and there was a caller that came on and said, as a season ticket holder, if you let go of the big three, why would I keep my season tickets? And they were talking about how, are you there to see the big three, or are you there to see Steph Curry? I would go there to see just Steph Curry, personally, because I think he's one of the greatest NBA players that's still playing. But if there is no Steph Curry with the Warriors, you're going to have somebody on the team that's going to want to make fans come to the games, especially if that means it's going to be a real rebuild era. While Curry is still one of the greats playing in the NBA right now, there is no denying we are now fully in a league that is younger and is faster than it has been in the last decade. If you guys are watching the NBA playoffs right now, I know you know what I'm talking about. Kerr's veteran ball was proved to not work this year. That's why Jonathan Kuminga, Brandin Podziemski, Trayce Jackson-Davis, and others were in the starting lineup, because they needed youthful, fresh players. And this is not the first time in NBA history that a big three would be breaking up. This happens. It's unfortunate. Even when you look at somebody like Kobe, who was with the Lakers his entire career, he didn't win much in his last few years. So, is it worth keeping around a big three because of the memories and the relationships? Or would you rather start rebuilding, maybe around one player like Steph Curry, or maybe around numerous people on your roster to ensure that you keep winning? Because in the big three of breakups, James, Bosh, Wade, Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, they all had an expiration date. And I'm really nervous that Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry's expiration date is already here, and the Warriors are not acknowledging it. Are the Warriors' big three done? Have we seen the last of Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry playing together? Shams has already said that Klay Thompson is going to explore free agency. Draymond almost retired in the middle of the season, And Steph Curry, while he has not said anything at all, it makes me wonder if his time is up as well. Comment why you think they're done, or comment why not. Next, I'm going to break down what the Warriors could get for Steph Curry, because we all know he has a lot of assets that are attached to his name, to his image, and to his skill. So in just a few moments, I'm going to break that down. But first, I cannot go any more in this video without telling you guys to go play Prize Picks right now. Take it from me, somebody who never, ever, ever liked to put money down on games. Prize Picks is now my go-to for that. Look at how aesthetically pleasing it is. You got the big boxes, the big stats. It's super easy just to pick more or less on a player's projected stats. That's it. It takes less than 60 seconds, and you can combine numerous sporting events in one pick. MLB, NHL, NBA, all going on right now. They constantly have promotions along with Taco Tuesday. That's why I do have this little pick here with a nice taco next to Karl Anthony Towns to have more than 14.5 points. As you guys can see, his original was about 18.5 points. Nice little discount there for Cat in the postseason, excuse me. Miles Turner to have more than 8 boards as well. No Giannis playing for the Bucks. So these are my picks. You can feel free to go on ahead and make your own. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use that promo code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It is truly that easy to watch yourself win some real money in real time. You got to break down Curry's value here. The value not only he's had for the Golden State Warriors, but in the NBA. Curry knows what to do. Curry is a businessman. He has brought the Curry brand to the Golden State Warriors. He has led the Warriors to numerous titles and accolades throughout the last decade. And first and foremost, I'm going to repeat this one more time before I get somebody in the comments section saying clickbait, blah, blah. This is not because Steph Curry has shown interest in leaving the Warriors. This is as a fan looking at an organization and saying, would the Warriors ever give up somebody like Steph Curry to start the rebuild? Because you have to understand, Steph Curry's in his middle 30s. He does not have that much longer in the NBA. But the good news is, in case you do need some reassurance that Steph Curry doesn't want to go anywhere, he did tell Draymond Green, which Draymond Green said on his show, after they lost to the Kings, he looked at him and said, I love you, we're not done yet. So, Curry is still on board with being the Golden State Warriors. And that's great, because if Curry wants to stay, for the love of God, let him stay. If he wants to retire a Warrior, you must do whatever Steph Curry says because of what he has done for your franchise in the last decade. But if Curry ever comes to you, Joe Lacob, Mike Dunleavy, and says, I want to explore other things, I think you owe it to Steph Curry to say, all right, well, we're going to get our ducks in a row, you get your ducks in a row, and we'll just stay in the loop and figure out what's best for you and our organization. Because they probably have a huge mutual respect that if Curry does say something, the Warriors need to be prepared. Because media outlets are already prepared if Steph Curry were to walk tomorrow. Apart from the Warriors, the Spurs are the favorites to be the next team for which Steph Curry suits up, and that's got Golden State Warriors minus 5,000. You've got San Antonio Spurs plus 650. So as you guys can see here, clearly the Golden State Warriors are still the favorites to keep Steph Curry through and through. That doesn't mean other teams are not going to try to get him. You got the New York Knicks all the way down here at plus 3,500. The Celtics at plus 3,000. Everybody is going to try and get Curry. So with that being said, Curry is still under contract for 2 more seasons. And with showing no signs of him wanting to leave, it just makes me wonder that should you start rebuilding now around Curry in his last few years, or should you start rebuilding around the younger guys, as this is now a faster and a younger generation? I still think Steph Curry does stuff night in and night out that he can compete with the younger generation in this NBA. I do think so. Maybe not the big 3, but I think that Steph Curry could still have enough resources to rebuild around him. And Golden State Warriors would be getting numerous draft picks, numerous younger talent, if they were to put Steph Curry in any type of trade package, as long as you keep your younger guys and build around somebody like a Podziemski, a Jackson-Davis, a Kuminga. But this is how the Warriors would start to rebuild. It would be by letting go of Steph Curry. I don't think that it would be wise to rebuild around Curry and just be left in the dark once Curry decides to retire, and now you've got to rebuild for the next 7 years to get a winning record. So with that being said, now with this offseason of Joe Lacob already saying there are going to be several big changes ahead, do you think that they will decide to rebuild around Steph Curry or rebuild around the younger guys such as Jonathan Kuminga? Type 00 if you want to go with the younger guys. Type 30 if you want to stay with Steph Curry. You soak up every last bit that he has, and you just keep it rolling for Curry to hopefully win one more ring. The last part about trading Steph Curry would be a Steph Curry trade idea. What is something that you can get for Steph Curry, who is about 35, 36 years old, I believe, at this point? I'm sorry if I got his age wrong. But I did put together this trade with just 2 teams in the NBA that it could work for. I know the Orlando Magic has a ton of cap space entering the next year. And I know the San Antonio Spurs were the leading men to get Steph Curry if he were to request a trade. So that would look like bringing several players to the Bay Area. Devin Vassell, Markelle Fultz, Keldon Johnson, Wendell Carter. You're going to get a big man. You've been asking for a big man, a true big, for so long. Plus, you could possibly get 2 first-round picks out of San Antonio for Steph Curry. This is how you start to rebuild for the next decade. The Spurs would receive Steph Curry along with Victor Wembanyama, which would be insane. And then you probably put somebody like Cole Anthony in there from the Orlando Magic. You send Chris Paul and Andrew Wiggins $50 million to the Orlando Magic, who has enough to pay a salary like that. You give them Trey Jones for the Spurs because they're also a very young team that has been looking for at least one veteran, and I think you can get 2 right there as well. So as you can see, the Warriors would come out on top with this trade with the most players that they could get for somebody like Steph Curry. In my opinion, there is no player in my mind that's worth trading Steph Curry for. But if Golden State wants to look long-term, a.k.a. start rebuilding after Curry, while Curry is still on the team, because you do not want to be left behind when Steph Curry decides to leave. You got to start putting some assets on the Warriors now. So if the Warriors were to trade Steph Curry while he is still playing in the NBA, what NBA player would you like to see come to the Bay Area for Steph Curry's assets, for his name, for his skills, and everything that he has to offer in a trade package? Go on ahead and comment that down below. I'll continue talking about this on Twitter. If you guys want to tweet at me, if you guys want to call me crazy, call me nuts on Twitter for posting a video about trading Steph Curry, do it. I'm not saying trade Steph Curry. I'm just saying, should the Warriors start preparing for Steph Curry nearing his end in the next few years in the NBA?